Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday, and we're actually doing a tea time on a Tuesday. Yay! So, it's Dr. Smith. I'm Dr. Smith from Accomplished Health and Wellness, and this is Heather Fiore from Free State Nutrition. And we have our tea today. Our tea it's called Vanilla Spice Perfect Energy, and it's by Yogi brand. And I just needed a little pick-me-up, so that's why I did this one. But I love these Yogi teas because their little tea bags come with these little sayings. And so I was going to say what they were today. So mine says, or this one says, be giving, forgiving, compassionate, and loving. So that's good. What does yours say?
Mine says, say what you mean and mean what you say.
Oh, that's always good, right?
That's also good.
Yeah. So, anyways, we do have our tea, and it's yummy. I like this one. So, and taste it, see what you think. It's like this hint of vanilla.
Yeah,
But there's like this zing to it, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, I just want to mention this because I was thinking about, I have this patient. I won't mention it because of HIPAA, but I have this patient who gave me this great idea, actually, because sometimes we get great ideas from our patients. And so, you know how you take a nap? Well, sometimes you might get to take a nap.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? And so my problem when I take a nap is it's never a nap. It's like a 3-hour sleep, right? I cannot I'll tell myself to get up and I just can't do it. So my patient had this great idea. And so it was, you drink some caffeine about, 20, you drink the caffeine before you're going to take a nap. And then usually the caffeine will kick in about 20 minutes into your nap and then it'll wake you up. Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah. I mean, I have heard of this, like using caffeine before napping.
Yeah. So then you get your nap that's going to restore, your power nap. And then you wake up, right? And because that's my trouble. I get the power nap, but it's
right, and then you're like all groggy and it's like,
and I'm like, just get out of bed, jeez. Okay. So today, so you guys can try it and let me know how it works for you. I'm not going to take a nap in 20 minutes, so just so you know. So today we are talking about healthy fats, right?
Yes.
And I kind of thought it would be a good idea just to say because really what we're talking about is omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, right? And they're always so, well, and then we're talking about other fats too, monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats. And
although omega-3s are actually a polyunsaturated
fat, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And there's different kinds, right? So the omega-3, they're called omega-3 because in the chain, there's a double bond starting at the third carbon, I believe, third position. And in omega-6, it's starting in the sixth carbon position. So that's how they get their omega-3 and omega-6 name. So now you know.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, let me just make sure.
Maybe I did once. But that
was a long time ago when we were first learning it, we learned that. See? Third position. Okay. The first double bond, that's what distinguishes them. The first double bond position is in the third position, the third carbon atom. And then the omega-6 is at the sixth carbon atom. So now we know. And then what are the types of omega-3s, right?
Right. So
you know them offhand, I bet you do.
Well, I mean, you've got the DHA and the EPA, and those are from fish sources.
Right.
Right. And then you've got ALA,
which
comes from plant-based sources.
Yeah.
Except there's algae, which also provides
ALA is like nuts and seeds. Oh, algae.
Right. So algae provides the EPA and the DHA, which is exciting for vegetarians and vegans.
Sure. Right. So what does ALA stand for? Do you remember? Alpha linolenic.
Linolenic. I always get linolenic.
I know, and linoleic. Yeah. So alpha linolenic acid, and then the EPA is, oh man, this one I'm gonna butcher. icosapentaenoic acid, and then docosahexaenoic acid. Hexanoic acid.
Yep.
It means there's 6. Hex, is that 6?
Yeah.
6.
Okay.
And then the omega-6s are the arachidonic acid that we always think about, and the linoleic acid.
Mm-hmm.
So now we know. And you already said, like, the seafood is the EPA and DHA.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ALA comes from your oil, your nuts and seeds.
Yes.
So what do you think are, like, I love nuts. Mm-hmm. I like to eat them. And, you know, they're always thinking about, with nuts and stuff, everyone always says almonds, right?
Yes.
And is that true? Like the almonds, aren't there other nuts that are really good, or is there a nut that's better than the almond?
Yeah.
Sometimes I get tired of almonds.
I know. It's funny. I've been thinking about this, like why the almonds get all the press about heart health.
Right.
And I don't know if it's just because like the almond board is well, you know.
It could be. Lots of money.
It's well funded. Or, you know, all the nuts have, you know, some breakdown of, you know, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and a little bit of saturated too. So maybe just they have the right breakdown. But in terms of omega-3s, only walnuts have omega-3s.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So the walnut is actually better than the almond.
Yes.
But does the walnut have omega-6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, but more omega-3s, and like I said, the other nuts pretty much have almost none.
Do you know what about pistachios? Because I really like those. Are they good for you?
I mean, any nut is good.
Okay.
Right. All nuts are really good for you because it's unsaturated fat, which is healthy fat, and there's protein, and so they're good.
Yeah. Okay. And so my pistachios and my cashews are okay.
Yeah. Yes.
But probably I should mix some walnuts in there.
If you can.
And some almonds.
Yeah, I mean
I like almonds.
Walnuts are kind of a tough sell because they don't come salted. You know, they're just plain old.
And they have kind of a different texture, but I kind of like their texture.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a different flavor. It's actually kind of a different blandy, nutty flavor.
It is kind of bland. Yeah.
But I do like it. So I can mix them in, especially if I like grab a handful and there's a few in there.
Right. Exactly. Mix it up. They're good with raisins or something.
So, you know, we're talking about omega-3 and omega-6, and you know, a really good question is, what should we have, like the ratio? Yeah. So, should it be 1-to-1? I mean, now, right? We used to be 1-to-1. We're not there now.
Who knows when, but
yeah,
yes, right. The typical Western diet is very far from that.
Yeah, so we're like, and we're talking 1-to-1, like omega-6 to omega-3, but right now we're like 15, something in there, 15 omega-6 to 1 omega-3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not good, right?
Right. So it's not. So we don't know exactly what the right ratio is.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. People come up with different numbers there, 4-to-1 or 1-to-4 or 6 or whatever it is, or 1-to-1. But the reality is we need more omega-3s. Like, we don't know exactly what the right ratio is. We just know that we're not doing it now.
Right.
The typical Western diet is way off.
Yeah.
So, you know, everyone should probably be making an effort to get more omega-3s.
Yeah. So I found this like great article. And it talks about omega-3 and omega-6 and like what they do, right? Okay. And so if you're looking at, so the big thing that we think about with fats, right, we were talking earlier, is cardiovascular, right?
Right, that's the biggest.
So so if you're looking for like causes of cardiovascular disease, your risk factors are going to be arrhythmias, like blood clots, atherosclerotic plaques, so that's cardiovascular disease. Then looking at like your HDL, your LDL, and your triglycerides. And HDL being your good cholesterol, LDL your bad, and then triglycerides are just your triglycerides. So you know, arrhythmias actually will cause sudden cardiac death. Duh. Your heart goes crazy, you might die. So omega-3 actually decreases your risk of arrhythmia, and omega-6 increases it. Yeah, so that 17-to-1, you might go into AFib. Not good. Blood clots, right? So any kind of blood clot, it can break off and it can go to your heart, it can go to your brain, cause a stroke. So omega-3s actually lower your risk of blood clot. And omega-6 increase it.
Of course.
Right. So we don't want that. And then plaques. So plaques lead to heart attacks, That's what happens. A plaque grows and then it blocks off the artery to the heart, right? That feeds the heart. So guess what? Omega-3 lowers your risk, right? And omega-6 increases it. So what do you think it does to your HDL? Omega-3, what does it do? Right, it does. It increases it. And omega-6 decreases it, right? So we want our HDL as high as we can get it.
Cholesterol, right?
Yeah, we want it as high as we can get it. So your LDL, you don't want it as low as you can get it, but you want it lower than most people. So, optimal is less than 100. Actually, if you have heart disease and diabetes, you're actually supposed to be less than 70. So the way so I always get asked this question, how can I lower that? Exercise and guess what? Omega-3. Yeah, omega-3 lowers it.
And soluble fiber. I mean, that's like a whole, we could be talking about heart disease.
We need to add that to the list for sure. And yeah, because, if you eat the wrong type of fiber, bloated. So anyways, LDL is increased and with omega-6 and lowered with your omega-3. HDL is increased with omega-3 and lowered with omega-6, which is what we would think. And then triglycerides follow that same pattern. Guess what? Omega-3 lowers and omega-6 increases it. So if you've got heart disease, eat the omega-3, right? So then the other thing is your inflammatory response. That's the other thing. So omega-3 is tied to decreased inflammation in your body. It's anti-inflammatory. That's why it's so good for us. And then omega-6, right, is pro-inflammatory. So it causes a lot of inflammation. So guess what? Your omega-3 is going to lower your inflammatory cytokines like interleukin 1 and 6, and your omega-6 is going to increase them. So if you have a lot of, chronic pain, arthritis, stuff like that, you should probably be eating more omega-3, right? Yeah. And then your C-reactive protein. That actually also is a sign of inflammation, and that's lowered with omega-3. Follows the same trend. So when we're looking at our ratio, right, we should be having I guess not like higher omega-3 to omega-6, but the ratio that we have, we don't want 15 omega-6 to 1 omega-3, right? We want it to be less than that.
We just want it to be less, right? Yeah. I mean, because the reality is you're not going to figure that out in your diet anyway. That would be. And
I think that especially with rheumatoid arthritis and stuff, cardiovascular disease, you want it to be a lot less. Some of the studies out there show 5 to 1 is actually better, less than that.
Yeah. So I think you just need to make sure you get some omega-3s in your diet on a regular basis. You're not going to eat fish every day, but you might eat it. That would be hard. But you could eat it a couple times a week. You could, eat more walnuts. There's chia seeds.
Yeah, talk about chia. Chia and flax seeds.
Yeah.
Flax seed. Yeah, talk about that because they're like superfoods, right?
Yeah, you could say that. So flax seeds are more commonly thought of as being where you get your omega-3s if you don't eat fish. And that's true. It's just that flax seeds are hard to work with because you can't eat the whole seed. You don't digest it.
Right. So it's going to come out whole.
Pretty much.
Like corn.
Yeah. Like all the corn. Yeah. So you have to grind it. You have to have it ground.
Right.
But
and
then
I put it in the freezer.
Right, like you can't just
longer,
you can't just leave it out on the counter ground. It's
Right.
it's going to spoil quickly.
Yeah.
And it needs to be in like a dark container. Like if it shouldn't be exposed to light. So yes, the freezer is a
I
good
didn't know
place.
that.
Or if it's in the fridge, it should be like in a dark container.
In the dark.
Or flaxseed oil you can use. That's
expensive.
nice and easy. But yeah, it's expensive and you can't cook with it, like because it.
So you just eat it? Like bake with it?
You can't bake with it. I don't know. Maybe you can bake with it, but you could like drizzle it on
like
things.
dressing.
You could make it with a salad dressing, or you could drizzle it on top of your food if you like the flavor of it.
Have you tasted it?
No.
Oh. I haven't either. But I do make my own bread sometimes. A lot. I used to do it regularly. I have a bread machine. And I have adjusted my bread recipe actually so that I put so much ground flaxseed in it instead of flour. And it works out well. I like it.
Yeah.
And it gives it a little nutty
I was going to say it probably has
too.
a little bit of a nut. And you could do a lot with ground flax seeds. Like you could sprinkle them on stuff like your cereal or mix with your yogurt.
But it makes the texture different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So chia seeds.
Chia seeds are funny.
They also have a flavor and a texture for sure. Like not that much flavor, but texture. So chia seeds are just like, the chia pet that, has been around for, 25, 30 years, whatever.
Right.
Don't eat your chia pet though. That's
no.
Those are not that's not what you eat. No. But the chia seeds,
cut that.
Yeah.
Groom it.
Yeah.
It's like a bonsai tree.
So chia seeds are like little like black sesame seeds. That's kind of what they look like. Mm-hmm. And they are hydrophilic. So that means when you put them in water, they soak up all the water and they puff up a little bit, and it makes them go from like crunchy to kind of almost like a gel.
It's like tapioca.
Yes, it is like tapioca.
So at Dillon's they have this stuff, and it's like chia something, and it kind of looks like chia pudding or something. And it's kind of the consistency. I don't know. It's a weird consistency, and it would probably be good, but the flavor itself wasn't good. Mm. And I remember putting it in my mouth, and I was like, "Oh, I can't do this." It was like snot in my mouth, and it didn't even taste good. So
maybe not.
No, but then they have these chia fruit cups over there, which I keep wanting to try, and I haven't yet. I almost got one for us to try. Have you tried those?
No, I mean I just get chia seeds, and I just put a scoop in my cereal.
And that you can eat.
Yes,
they get stuck in your teeth.
They might get stuck in your teeth, but you can eat them. You can digest them. You can get your omega-3s from chia seeds. You can bake with them. You can also use them as an egg substitute, which is really weird. But there's some ratio of like how much water per how much, and they, because they make this gel, and it's sort of egg-like, and then you can use it as an egg substitute.
That's actually brings me to my next thought. What about eggs? What do you think on eggs?
Oh dear,
I love the egg.
See, now we're talking about healthy fats.
Yeah,
and now we're getting all.
But is an egg? I mean, it's got like the healthy fat in the yolk, right? I mean, the egg got a bad rap a long time ago.
It did, but you know what happened is that they started feeding chickens differently. And so they lowered the saturated fat in the eggs. And so, yes, they did used to have a lot more saturated fat. They have less now. It's still there, but there's less saturated fat. And you can also get omega-3 eggs where they feed the chickens an omega-3 feed.
That's what I actually do. I have chickens and they're free range, but I also feed them some omega-3 feed just to put more omega-3. And do you know what's interesting is that, do you have chickens?
No.
No. Yeah. Chickens are funny.
I would like to.
You can come watch my chickens. They're funny. I have this really beautiful rooster, and he's fascinating to watch. But anyways, I digress. So the interesting thing is, one of my chickens was laying these massive eggs, and they wouldn't even fit in the egg carton, right? And the shells were really like you could, if you touched it, it would break. And then I started feeding the chicken. I changed like the feed from just normal chicken feed to omega-3 feed because I wanted the omega-3 in my eggs. And the egg shrank.
Wow.
Same chicken, the egg shrank, and it got harder.
That's weird.
Yeah, so I think it's, and sometimes like when the feed place doesn't have the omega-3, I have to go back to the old. And guess what happens?
They get bigger again.
The egg gets bigger.
How weird is that?
Yeah. That's a notification for Dr. Crone, but that's okay. Anyway, so the egg. What do you think on the egg?
Yeah, so I think, that they fit into a healthy diet. You can feel free to eat them, eat.
They're not as bad as we thought.
Right. They're just better now.
Right. Because we feed our chickens better.
Chickens definitely. So they are, they got lots of good stuff, and it outweighs the bad.
And they do say that the free range chickens are better, and the ones that are eating the omega-3 diet is better. Yeah. So that can be a healthy fat, right? You're like, maybe.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I call it healthy. I would just call it like not unhealthy. I wouldn't say like eggs are good for your heart. They're not bad for your heart. And so you get all the protein and the iron and all the good stuff in eggs and possibly omega-3s, and not not too much unsaturated.
The one thing about the egg is that it does have choline in it, and that's good for your brain.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in there.
And that was the other thing is the omega-6. No, it'll be fine. The omega-6, right? So unless he starts banging. Oh, does he? Yeah. Okay. Well, he can go off and sit for a little while. So the omega-6 actually is needed for the brain because it is used in neurotransmitters, right? So we do need, we like keep kind of bashing the omega-6, but we actually do need omega-6 in our body. There's a lot of places in our body that uses omega-6.
Right.
And there's a lot that use omega-3, but
and we don't create it. We don't create either one.
Right. That's why they're essential fatty acids, because our body doesn't create them, but we need them. They're essential for our body, but the omega-3 is the one that's going to help with heart health.
Right. But there's also monounsaturated fats,
right,
which are positive. They are good for your heart.
Yeah.
So like olive oil and
avocados.
Avocados.
I love avocados.
Yeah, those are and all those nuts like we talked about before.
Yeah.
So they may not be a source of omega-3, but it's still heart healthy.
Yeah, because they will still increase your HDL and increase your LDL, right? So avocados, I learned like the avocado oil actually has a higher amount of omega-6. Did you know that? Yeah. But the avocado has a really high amount of folate. So if you're pregnant, that's a good thing. Or if you have a folate deficiency, that's a good thing. And then vitamin E, right? I think, vitamin E, which boosts your immune system. So they're really good for that too. So the avocado is a good thing, and that's monounsaturated fats, right?
Right.
And then what else? What about that coconut oil? What do you think on that? Man, the coconut craze was there. I have to admit, I like coconut. I am not a fan of cooking with coconut oil unless like the recipe has pineapple or something else in it, right? But I love putting that stuff on my legs, like as lotion. That's what I use it for.
Okay.
Lotion. So I like to use it for lotion.
I think the main thing about coconut oil is we don't know yet. Like there's emerging research, but we don't know. Like, is it as good as, olive oil or omega-3s or, is it as bad as saturated fat? We just don't really know yet. Like I know a lot of dietitians are like on the bandwagon. They're into coconut oil.
It's just hard to cook with, really.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, I don't like coconut, so it's sort of a non-issue for me personally.
You cannot cook eggs in it because the egg takes on that coconut taste, and like coconut eggs, I just can't get on board with. My eggs aren't supposed to taste like coconut.
No.
But, like if you're making a pineapple upside down cake, use it for that oil. I don't know. But it does have medium chain fatty acids in it, right? So maybe you could put it in your coffee.
Yeah.
So we're kind of on the fence.
We're kind of on the fence, right? Like, I mean, I'm just not ready to jump on the bandwagon with it. Like, it might be fine, and yes, and one of the things we're not talking about here is the issue of flavor, and often that's a factor in how you cook, not just like what's the healthiest thing, but like what's going to taste good, and if it works, then you should use it. Like, butter is not the healthiest fat, but if it tastes good, if it's the right thing for your recipe, you should use it.
But butter does, I mean, butter has a bad rep, but butter does, I mean, it's 80% fat from your milk fat, from your cream, right? But it does have a lot of vitamins in it. It's like, it actually has a lot of your fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K. So those are actually things that we need, unless you're on Coumadin. Then you should not be. Yeah, because you're just going to up your Coumadin need because of the vitamin K, right? So it does have a lot of vitamins in it. And if you are, sorry, I have an itch on my leg. And if you are doing like grass-fed beef versus like, I don't know, I always call it meatpacking plant beef, but it's not. It's like, what would you call it?
Just conventional agricultural beef.
Yeah. The ones that are in the pens that don't move around, they just eat and stand in mud and poop. Those cows, they're under a lot of stress, so their omega-6 is high. Whereas the other way, the grass-fed beef, their omega-3 is high because they're eating the grass and everything. And so, yeah, it is a little bit higher. And so if you are eating butter, you know, everything in moderation. If you like butter with your egg, it might not be the healthiest fat, but you are getting some omega-3. So throw some chia seeds on top. There you go. Right? What else? Oh, you know what? Okay, so full fat, dairy, full fat dairy. Yes. What do you think on that? See, I am a fan of full fat now. Like, I'm not a big fan of diet because when you look at diet, it's like a bunch of chemicals anyway. But full fat, I am a fan of, right? So if I get sour cream, I get full fat sour cream, yogurt. I don't get the light stuff. And so what do you think on that?
Right. So, I mean, there's a number of things going on there, right? So you've got like milk. All they do is take the fat out, right?
Right.
They don't add stuff to it.
They turn it into butter.
Right. But they just take the fat out.
Right.
Whereas like, you know, like sour cream or, you know, yogurt to some extent too, sometimes they will, you know, or cream cheese, which is barely dairy. But anyway, they take the fat out and they add a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Depending on what brand you get.
Yeah. So it really kind of,
mine usually says like cream. What else does it say? Cream, vitamin A, I think. Or something. There's like 3 ingredients.
Yes.
And, you know, in the yogurt, there's some fruit. Right. But yeah.
Right. So, and I think, you know, for heart health, the research is a little bit around, you know, back and forth with it. But I think what we are deciding is that like milk, yogurt, cheese, you know, those kind of dairy, not butter, but the rest of those dairy are neutral in terms of heart health.
Oh, okay.
They don't necessarily raise or lower your cholesterol.
Okay.
They're just there. And even the fat, like it's saturated fat, which we've always thought was bad for your cholesterol.
Right.
But when it's in a dairy product, it seems to be just neutral.
Okay.
Okay. But there are other reasons why whole fat dairy might be good. Like for people with diabetes, it actually helps with blood sugar control because of the protein and the fat help, you know, keep the blood sugar.
And then the probiotics in the
yogurt.
And
the probiotics in the yogurt or kefir.
Yeah.
Would be another thing. So there's lots of reasons to eat dairy. I mean, we're not even getting into like, you know, calcium and protein and
unless you're lactose
and all that good stuff. Right. So dairy is great, but in terms of like if we're talking about heart health and healthy fats, it's fine. That's my synopsis of dairy.
But not so much butter. Butter is good. You are not a fan of butter.
I am just not sold that it's good for us. I think it
tastes good,
probably fine, and it tastes good, and it serves a purpose. But like, there are people who really think it's so good we should be pouring it into our coffee and drinking it. Like, no,
I'm not on board with that. But it's not margarine, and margarine is like just chemicals, right? And margarine increases your heart risk. Risk,
right.
heart attack risk. And if you can really find like a good dairy that does like grass-fed beef, you can get some omega-3s from it. But you shouldn't, you're right. It's not,
I mean, like most people are buying butter at the grocery store.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like if you can go to your farmer's market, or a farmer, and you buy like, stuff
good
right from the farm, like have at it. Like I'm sure that's excellent for you.
But even so, like you shouldn't cook everything in it, right? Right. I mean, because you've got olive oil,
right, and
which is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Probably better.
It's probably better
than the butter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you can't cook everything in olive oil because it's got a weird taste sometimes. Like it doesn't mesh well always.
Right. That's what I mean by you have to like eat what. You have to work with what is going to taste best,
right?
With
because you have to enjoy your food still.
Yeah, the food has to taste good otherwise.
Even healthy food has to be good.
Oh, for sure.
So, when I was looking at healthy fats, right, I found my favorite one, dark chocolate.
Aha.
Did you? What do you think on dark chocolate? So I love dark chocolate because I can justify eating it from the antioxidants. All right, let's be real here. But I don't eat like a whole candy bar, right? I eat like a little wedge.
Square,
yeah, because I feel like, okay, that's okay. But what do you think on dark chocolate?
I mean, definitely it's got antioxidants.
Uh-huh.
I mean, is it a healthy fat?
It has some fat in it.
It has fat, but I don't know if it's good healthy fat or saturated.
And did you know that antioxidants, they go around and fight all those free radicals that we have in politics and our body?
I like to point out you're digressing now because we're talking about healthy fats.
Yes, that's true. But I'm just saying, it does have fat in it.
It does, but that doesn't mean it's good.
But it's not a health. Well, it's not like it's not like the milk chocolate, right? You got to get the 80% chocolate, but it has a little bit of healthy fats in it.
You really want me to tell you it's healthy fat? I'm just not convinced.
Okay, it's not a healthy fat.
Antioxidants. That's all.
It's not. It won't go under our omega-3 list, but it is got the antioxidants and
it's delicious. I'll give you that.
It does, and it actually does have flavonols in it, which actually improve your heart health because they lower your blood pressure, and they actually improve blood flow to the heart and the brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at least it's got that going for it, but it's not a fat.
Right.
Is there fat in it? I should look at my next time I buy one of those dark chocolate bars.
Yes, there is.
Is there some fat in it? So I wonder if it's omega-3. What is it?
It's saturated.
Well,
sorry.
All right. So what we've learned today, people, is that we should be eating flaxseed, chia seeds, fish, walnuts, almonds, any other nuts.
All the nuts. Yes, all the nuts.
And then we should probably, depending on what we're cooking, grab the olive oil as much as we can. Mm-hmm. Eat the avocados.
Oh, we didn't even talk about
canola oil.
Because it has omega-3s.
Right. So whenever I think of canola oil, I think of Rapunzel. No, is it? No, it's Rocky and Bullwinkle. And where it's one of the short cartoons in Rocky and Bullwinkle. Do you remember that show? The cartoon? Yeah. Okay. And so the lady was pregnant and she wanted the rapeseed that was in the witch's garden next door. Like, that's what I always think of is the rapeseed because it's from the rapeseed, right?
Yes, but it's, obviously safe to eat. It's not going to poison you.
Well, the witch isn't going to take your baby when you eat it. I think that's what happened. But anyways, the canola oil, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's great for having an option. Again, when you're cooking, sometimes you need the right oil to go with what you're making.
Yeah, especially when you're making unhealthy things like French fries and crab rangoon. Mm-hmm. It does cook them better. Do you ever make that stuff?
No.
I do, like every quarter. That's okay.
Nothing wrong with that. No.
Recorder. But that has canola oil does have higher omega-3 versus omega-6, right? Yeah. So, do you think that's better than olive oil or no? The ratio is better.
The ratio is better, but again, you know, I think olive oil has its own benefits. So I feel like it's just a matter of like, you know,
which one goes with what you're
which one goes the best flavor wise. That's how you decide.
Has a smell, a funny smell. Have you ever smelled it? It's like this, I don't know. Canola oil is a funny smell. Like a boxy smell or something. I don't know. I'm all about smells. I smell everything. Anyways, anything else that we missed?
Gosh.
We had a lot. Fats is a big
Yeah, it sounds like a simple thing, but you know, and we probably didn't even talk about all the fats. So
we didn't. We added some that weren't even fats, like chocolate.
Had some digressions. So yeah, if you have questions about other kinds of fats, please ask them in the comments.
Yeah, hey, I have one last question. So how can you tell what your ratio is? Is there a way?
So the easiest thing to do would be to enter your diet into like a, you know,
like one of those online,
like an app or something online.
Is there one that you know of that you like?
I really actually dislike those things.
Because you're entering your food?
Yeah, I don't like all that, like, you know, calories and all that.
Yeah. Tracking. You don't like to count calories? Me either.
No.
I agree with you.
No. But I guess I would say
starving.
This is not a good one, but it because it's not that user friendly. But the nutritiondata.com has a tracker, and they will give you the breakdown. Oh, there's a million trackers out there and apps and things. I don't know if they all break down omega-3 or omega-6, but this one will. It's just kind of, well, it's cumbersome to work with, so I don't recommend it.
But I do think that it would be beneficial to know where you're at and then where you want to go, you know, to make some changes and stuff. Especially if you have heart disease and diabetes, you know, that would be really beneficial.
Right. I mean, the best thing to do would be, right, to talk to a dietitian who would do that for you.
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah. Like
you can calculate somebody's. That's pretty cool. You should let her. How much do you cost? I don't even know.
It kind of depends. Do
you take insurance?
I take insurance. Yes.
Poor soul.
You know, it's a drag. But Blue Cross and Blue Shield, United, and someday Aetna, but they're
tough.
They're really, we should let it in.
Okay, so and then how can they get a hold of you? Do you know? I mean, obviously you know, but you're changing.
The best thing to do is to go to my website, freestatenutrition.com. Schedule a call with me.
Oh, that's great. Or they can reach us. You know, reach through this.
Yes, for sure.
And your Facebook, they can message you.
Absolutely.
Not that that's how you'll communicate, but at least then you can
get started. But yeah, the free phone call is really the way to find out all about how it works.
All right, and then she can calculate where you're at and where you need to go. All right, so what should we talk about next time?
Ooh,
we lost our thing.
Here we
go. What do you think?
Well, we're kind of hopping around.
We are.
Which is not a bad thing. So I feel like supplements could work out, or we could do like diets or cleanses or one of those kind of fun things.
Let's do cleanses. The cleanse raid.
Yes.
Let's do cleanses. Okay, so everyone, next time will be cleanses. Sorry we went way over today. This is a big topic and we digress, but you know us. That's what we do. So hopefully you guys will have, hopefully you enjoyed it today. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. And also, we will see you next week when we talk about cleanses and detoxes. Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bye.